Welcome to Supply Chain Now, the voice of global supply chain. Supply Chain Now focuses on the best in the business for our worldwide audience, the people, the technologies, the best practices, and today's critical issues, the challenges and opportunities. Stay tuned to hear from those making global business happen right here on Supply Chain Now.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Scott Luton, Kevin L. Jackson with you here on Supply Chain Now. Welcome to today's show. Kevin, how you doing today?
Hey, it's hump day. I don't know where it is where you are, but I'm ready to go on the back end slide.
You always have a good day, Kevin. I appreciate you, man. Well, hey, folks, wonderful show here today. We're going to be diving into the world of retail supply chain and speaking with a true dynamo. I'll tell you what, we're going to be taking on a variety of topics from the importance of diversity to key topics defining global supply chain this year to the ever-evolving and powerful role of technology in industry today and the human factor, of course. But stay tuned for an informative, enlightening, and entertaining conversation. Kevin, should be going, huh?
Oh, no, I'm looking forward to learning. I mean, you think about Walmart and all of the products and services they provide, you know, their supply chain must be something else.
It is. And it's led by incredible people as well. And, you know, contributors all along the way across the whole ecosystem. We'll probably touch on that here today. So today's episode is presented in partnership with our friends at Microsoft, who's doing some pretty cool things in the industry as well, helping us to move all forward successfully. More on that a bit later. But as I said, let's introduce our repeat, our featured, our rock and roll guest here today. Our guest is a global operations and supply chain executive with more than 15 years of experience across retail and e-commerce channels. Before coming to Walmart, she served as senior vice president and global head of supply chain for Peloton. Prior to that, our guest served as vice president supply chain for the Home Depot. She's gotten recognition and awards for her work from across the industry, including being featured on Atlanta Business Journals and Georgia Tech's 40 Under 40. How about that? From a personal standpoint, our guest enjoys giving forward and demonstrates that passion by serving a variety of charitable causes, including missions such as the Children's Healthcare Hospital of Atlanta. We're pleased to welcome a repeat guest and friend of the show, Jennifer McKeehan, Senior Vice President, End-to-End Delivery at Walmart. Jen, how you doing?
Good morning, guys. It's good to see you.
You as well. Kevin and I, we've been talking about this thing for weeks, haven't we?
Oh, no, absolutely. You know, I learned so much, and especially your background, Jen, is just amazing. I mean, no wonder they scooped you up there at Walmart.
Well, thank you. I've been lucky to go to some good places.
Yes. Oh, and that's one of my favorite parts. You're traveling and spending time out in the markets with associates everywhere, and we'll touch on that in a minute, Jen. But welcome back, and we're going to start with a little fun warm-up question. So I think this is your third or fourth appearance here. I've learned tons, 18 pages of notes with just about every appearance. But what we haven't spoken about is you and your family have a bit of a Georgia Tech football tradition, and usually in my visits there, it always includes a stop at the Varsity, a restaurant that dates back forever. So, Jen, I'm going to put you on the spot. What's your family's order look like at the Varsity?
Well, you can't go to the Varsity and not get hot dogs. I didn't even know they serve hamburgers. So, and my kids barely eat the hot dogs; they get the orange Frosty.
Yes.
So
yes.
a little bit of food and a whole lot of sugar on the way to the football game is the way we start the day.
Well, they get to burn it off throughout the day, and that's such a great tradition. And for me, it's the yellow dog, always with slaw, sometimes with relish, and always the onion rings versus the French fries for me and my kids at the Varsity. Kevin, how about you?
Oh, no, I always get, mustard ketchup with a lot of relish.
You can't put ketchup on a hot dog.
Oh, man, you got to have the ketchup, man. You got to have the ketchup.
All right, we'll have that debate later. But all right, we're all big fans of the Varsity, clearly, so we'll have to meet there and do a show there one time. I bet they've got an incredible operation and supply chain behind it. All right, so last time, Jen, just a minute ago, we were talking about your visits out in the market, out in the field. You mentioned last time that, quote, the magic takes place in the stores, end quote. We love that. It's still one of my favorite t-shirt isms from last year, because you were sharing that you really valued your time that you're able to spend with those remarkable associates out in the stores. One of our favorite moments. So comment on that if you would, and then roll right into telling us about your current role at Walmart.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's particularly at Walmart, there's 4,600 stores within 10
Mm.
miles, 90% of America. And
Wow.
so, there's everywhere. When we're on family vacation now, we stop at the store and try to find a driver out back. So there's always magic. But I think, from my roots as an intern at Home Depot to just the amazing culture Walmart has built, the magic is in the stores, or just in the frontline associates and the folks doing, taking care of the folks that take care of the customer, and the rest will solve itself. And so here at Walmart, the ways we get to do that, our team has the opportunity to lead anything of how we move product from the supplier or the seller all the way to the customer's doorstep. So we call it port to porch, connecting our suppliers and sellers all over the world through the supply chain, through stores, and to a customer's doorstep. And all the pieces and parts in between. So we call it anything that moves, water, wheels, and wings over here. We're having
Wow.
time. Yeah.
I
know
love
the
it.
wings are a fun ad. We like talking about the drones, so we'll talk about that later today. But.
Let's talk about all of it. I love that. Port to porch. Kevin, I want to go back though and ask you about what she started on the front end. You're taking care of the team members that take care of the customers. What a wonderful management philosophy to embrace. Kevin, your thoughts?
Well, the thing that really pops into my mind is my dependence on Walmart. I'm sorry, but I do a lot of travel as a businessman, right? But I do a lot of travel as a businessman, right? And you pack up your bag, make sure you don't have to check anything, so you put it in the overhead. Sometimes it gets pretty tight. And I remember one trip I down in Florida, and I was ready to go to a meeting. I was all suited up, ready to go, put my pants on, and didn't have a belt. So my pants like falling off me, and I said, "Oh no, what? I can't go to this meeting like this." Walmart. It saved me, and maybe that's what it is. I mean, if you need something, there's always a Walmart nearby that you can go and get whatever you need easily, quickly. So dependence on Walmart, maybe that's a disease or something, but it's okay with me.
And Jen, to your point, to Kevin's point, did you say 4,600 stores within 10 miles? What was that statistic you shared?
4,600 stores within 10 miles of 90% of the population.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's to Kevin's points. They're always there. And I'll tell you, big fan. It's interesting. We've been tracking, Jen, we talked about this, I think, last time you joined us. As a student of retail and leadership, and of course, we're all consumers, it's been fascinating to see Walmart continue to evolve, both from an in-store experience and from an e-commerce experience. So kudos, and I love watching your travels as you spend time out there with associates across the globe, really. All right, so I can only imagine what your whiteboard may look like, all the initiatives that y'all, I'm sure you're leading, you're part of as that evolution continues, right? So if you could share, when you think of the last year or so, what are some of the thoughts that come to your mind in terms of those initiatives and your biggest wins that you're most proud of?
Sure. Well, Kevin, I love your story about last minute. That actually happened to me last week on the road. I was going to go to a site that I didn't plan on. And so I ordered some jeans and a sweater, Walmart Express, and it was like at the hotel in 45 minutes. I was like, boom. They didn't know I was on the team and still executed it flawlessly. And I was like, this is awesome. So
I did good job. I did good.
Having that driver and the hotel staff was like, what is happening in the parking lot? So, it's true to life. But, Scott, back to your question, I think there's so many amazing things happening at Walmart, whether it's in delivery and transportation or just the entire end-to-end enterprise. And so I think, one of the things that we're really focused on as our anchor is helping customers shop when they want, where they want, and how they want.
Mm.
And to do that, requires just mass transformation and innovation. And we're seeing that in both the physical space of how we move and operate our supply chain, as well as the digital space in terms of technology or how we communicate with customers. And so in the physical space, we're investing billions of dollars in automation. And that helps us not only create capacity, speed, accuracy for our customers, but what we also love about it is it's creating great jobs and opportunities for our associates. And so we have, now we have automation happening in some of our ambient DCs that help pallet. We've all unloaded a truck where you've got the
Right.
Yeah.
1,000 cartons stacked floor to door. And now we're having product come out that's palletized that can go straight to the aisle that it's intended to go to. Like, not only is that faster and creates capacity, but like from an associate experience and a customer experience, it's awesome, and we're getting product to the floor faster. And so
That's
it's just
amazing.
it's and there's examples like that everywhere. Our automated pickup and delivery, they're 35,000 square feet. We've put them in the back of stores, and so it's a way, think of it like a micro fulfillment center, that we can
Hmm.
create faster order delivery for customers on the broad assortment of what Walmart can provide within an hour or 2 hours of your doorstep. So you're not waiting for someone to put it on a truck and ship it to you.
That's
And so
amazing.
there's just a lot happening in the physical space. In the digital space, obviously AI is a really hot topic, and Walmart has been at the forefront of how we think about using that to touch our customers, to help our associates, and to drive better decision making in our supply chain. And so we see that everywhere from how we're predicting demand of what customers are going to be in what store by what hour, so we can make sure we put the right associates on the floor to support them, or routing and batching. We're moving a lot of packages around a lot of places, and making sure that we're doing that creates speed and accuracy for the customer. So just really fun, endless, and then don't forget the drones.
Don't forget the drones.
Yeah, I think when we had talked last, we had just, we had a few thousand deliveries. It was kind of on the front side of that. We just completed our 30th thousandth delivery.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. And drones.
and announced this spring that we'll be in 75% of the Dallas-Fort Worth area by the end of the year. And so super exciting. Just you think like, I need something, and 20 minutes later it's literally dropped on your doorstep. Like, that's game changing. And so we're really, really excited about what that looks like.
Jen, I got to put my socks back on because you've just blown them off. All that you shared, seriously, you just shared like a podcast series in your last response. I'm trying to figure out my best part, and while I figure that out, Kevin, my hunch is maybe the AI and the drones piece of Jen's response there, Kevin, might be your favorite. What out of all those initiatives and those wins that she just walked through, and there's plenty more, I'm sure, that we can't get to here
Hmm.
today. Your favorite part of that, Kevin?
Well, when I hear all the initiatives, the thing that jumped in my mind is the data connectivity that you have to have in order to even make that work. I mean, think about it. You have to know your customer, where they live, if they're home. You got to know their address. You got to understand if there's any wires that the drone may need to fly over or fly under in order to get to the porch. Does the porch have a roof over it? I mean, how do you actually collect all that data,
Right.
and turn it into information that you can leverage to meet the customer's expectations? And that is amazing. It
Yeah.
really is, and it goes, it highlights the value that Walmart must place on automation and leading edge technology, and dare I say, digital transformation.
Yes. Kevin, well said. And Jen, I'm not sure if we shared this pre-show, but Kevin is a former naval aviator. So air
Oh,
clearance and for the 30,000 drones. I mean, Kevin's thinking about this as a technologist, as an aviator, as a business leader. So love that. 30,000 drone deliveries. That's fascinating to see how fast that has come and how it continues to evolve. Clearly, DFW, Dallas-Fort Worth, is going to be a continued important proving ground as that continues to expand. But I got to go back. Out of all that stuff you shared, I got to tell you, I got to double down on what I shared earlier. Your and Walmart's continued focus on both the customer but also the associates is so important. And you can hear, some of those elements that Jen just walked through, how it makes associates, because employees, associates, team members, they want to succeed, right? And if we can make it easier for them to exceed, make it safer for them to succeed, man, the mountains will move and the heights will go too. So I gotta, it's palpable every time we interview you, Jen, and it's something that I think a lot of folks want to be associated with. So love it, Jen. I can't wait to get our next update. It'll be tough to top the one here. And Jen, just to put a fine point on this, out of all of that you shared, what's the one thing that you find yourself talking most about with your family and your friends and what have you?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of good stories, but I would say, one of the things just in terms of that we're really excited about, and drones are certainly a piece of it, but it's giving customers so many options to shop how they want.
Yeah.
And so BCG said that, like, I think it was in 2017, 17% of sales are e-com. And in 2027, 10 years later, 47% of sales of retail sales will come from.
Wow, that's huge change.
And if you think about the landscape today, over half of Walmart's digital orders stem from the stores. So we think of stores as a competitive part of our supply chain and leveraging them to serve customers differently. And so we have drones, that's certainly a piece of it, but now we have 6 a.m. delivery. I mean, you think about like the mom, me, who like forgot school lunch and like, hey, like drop off those fruit snacks in the Capri Sun, So like 6 early delivery, late delivery, express delivery. We're just adding and we're doing that from listening to the customer. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you prefer? We here at my house, we use in-home and they will bring groceries into your house. And so it's a Walmart associate walks in the door and I come home from like a week of travel and like the milk is refreshed for Saturday.
Wow.
And, I've got vegetables in the drawer so I can feel like I'm trying to be healthy. So it's just, there's so many things that Walmart's sort of stacking on top of each other. And I think when you just think about what that looks like to help people save money and live better, like that, I go to sleep with a good heart. So it's really exciting.
I would too.
Yeah, all that sounds really great. But the other thing that sort of highlights is you were talking about how your e-commerce is growing, and you juxtapose that against the value of brick and mortar, having an actual physical store. And it's the blend that enables Walmart to satisfy their customers no matter where they are, no matter what they need. They talk about brick and mortar going away, but that's not exactly true. It's really important to have both the virtual and the online, and to have that married with the physical, because both are needed, I guess, all the time. Do you see that, Jen?
Yeah, Kevin, I love how you said that. But we talk a lot about don't let the customer see your org chart. And it's, rarely anymore do we talk about just stores or supply chain. And what I think has been transformational for Walmart is we talk about it as end to end, like however we're servicing the customer. And so stores is supply chain, logistics and transportation, we're all under the same umbrella because it's really thinking about how do we use all of our assets in a multi-capability capacity, not just like, oh, I assume a customer walks into a store or I assume I ship them their e-com order. And that has been just the accelerator of servicing customers in a different way because we don't think of them as brick and mortar or e-com. We just think of them as Walmart, the omni-channel retailer. And we operate like that internally. It's not just, hey, pin it together for the customer. Like that's how we partner as teams. We think about that in an end-to-end way. And that has led us to some really, I think, different supply chain decision, for the supply chain nerds out there like me, like that's led us to do different things because the trade-offs are more holistic.
Yeah. Meet the customer where they are, right?
That's right. Or like maybe you send the truck not all the way full because if you get it there at the right time for the stores, the productivity that helps them with is better than the expense on the truck.
Yeah.
And so it's like that
Yes.
kind of connectivity that we're making really good end-to-end decisions that then is unlocking, cost and value back to the customer.
That's
Love it.
using data to create information so you can make the right decisions. That's powerful.
Yes, the right decisions faster and more confidently, and in real time almost. I mean, that's where we are as an industry. Jen and Kevin, good stuff. I hate to. We could take a deep dive, but I know Jen's got limited time. I'm going to kind of pivot to this next segment of our conversation where we're kind of get some leadership perspective from
Hmm.
Jen here. So we're recording this session during Women's History Month here at the tail end. But the way we look at it, we celebrate that every month women are creating history across global business. Kevin, you and I have talked about that time and time again.
Yeah.
So Jen, in your view, how is diversity critically important in general, especially in what a lot of folks call this male-dominated global supply chain industry? Your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, we're trying to make it a little less male dominated, one day, one person at a time.
Right.
I think we're making progress. I would say, I think, and we talk about this a lot, but just diversity is important in all sorts of lenses, whether that's race or gender or just honestly experience and background.
Right.
And so I think, particularly in supply chain, a supply chain is such a fast moving evolution. What made you successful 10 years ago or made you a subject matter expert 10 years ago is so different today. And so finding ways to tap into that diversity of thought and diversity of experience has been really, I think, a important focus
Hmm.
for Walmart, for my team, and I think in general for the industry. Walmart has around 36% of their global officers are women, which is up 5% in the last 2 years. And
Okay.
so you see at Walmart really intentionality on adding diversity, not, at all levels of the organization, because when people can see someone operating, you can see yourself doing that. And so I think that has been really important. But I also think just creating a diverse team environment, whether you're, you know, a white male, that is just as important of embracing the diversity as it might be a person of color or a woman. Um, because, our team sort of has a theme of better together because it's the diversity of thought, of approach, of, solutioning that, like, when we bring all that together, we always end up with a better answer. And so I think that's really where the value comes of how are you being inclusive of that diversity and that diversity of people, experience, and thought so that you get to a better answer together. And that's, I
Yeah.
think we have seen that come to light in my team this year. We increased our just in my leadership team.
Yep.
We went from 50% to 100% diverse leaders in the last 12 months. And I'm telling you, that's adding value to the business. Like I
No
see
doubt.
it in the numbers. And so that I think is the real value.
Yeah, Jen, I loved
Wow.
your answer. I'm gonna get Kevin away in a second. I want to just add to it. There's study after study, folks, and a lot of our audience will know because we talk about it a lot, where the data shows and supports the points you're making. It brings value to the top line, the bottom line, and all points in between. Kevin, I know you're itching to kind of weigh in here on what Jen shared about diversity.
Well, she said it really in many, many different ways. But the breadth of your diversity drives the breadth of your innovation. And that's
Mm,
really what you need in today's world.
love that.
Well said. Okay, man, y'all are. I'm gonna have 36 pages of notes here today, Jen and Kevin.
I'm
All
going
right.
to interview Kevin next. Like,
So Jen, this next question, that kind of based on your last answer, I'm going to tweak this a little bit because it seems based on the great changes that Walmart is making out in the industry, and as you said, it's one person at a time, right? As we get more allies out there that are willing to help us make more change, right? But still, timelessly, it's tough to break into the senior ranks of leadership in a global company. How can you speak to that challenge, and can you also give a piece of advice or offer some encouragement to other listeners out there or viewers out there that are trying to do the exact same thing that you've done, Jen?
sure. I would say one, I'm lucky that Walmart has a culture of belonging, and we talk a lot about
Hmm.
that. And I think live a lot of that. And you see that regardless of the group, the title, the level you're in. And so I do think Walmart is a special place that makes it easier than most. That being said, like it's still not easy. It's not easy breaking into this senior ranks of a very tenured
Mhm.
company and being the new kid. And
Yeah.
it's like Walmart, you're the new kid for the first 5, 10 years. Like
Right.
until I got my 10-year badge, like I will not feel like I've earned my first stripe. Um, and doing that as a woman. And so I think, I don't want to sugarcoat it to also say that it was easy, but I will say I had so many people reach out to be welcoming and warm and like, hey, how can we help? And I think the key of what helped me assimilate was leveraging those folks that offered to help, creating relationships, understanding that it wasn't going to feel easy, but like putting in the work and the time to create the relationships. You've got to earn that trust, that confidence, that credibility when you're the new person in the room, and that's
Mhm.
fair. Like, hey, what got you here won't get you there.
Right.
And so I think understanding how to do that in a culture friendly way to whatever organization you're in was really key for me on, and like also understanding that like the goal, we always talk about the first 90 days, your goal is to listen, to learn.
Yeah.
But I think like really doing that, and like that means sometimes you got to feel like you're sitting on your hands because it's so exciting to be there. You're like, I can't believe I'm here. Pinch me. I'm going to, change the world. You will. But like, you also have to make sure that like you have the trust, credibility, and confidence of your peers and your team before you try to go accelerate some of that light the world on fire energy that you got in your belly. And so I
Yeah.
think it's just finding the rhythm.
Oh, okay. Kevin, your thoughts first on that leadership advice and career progression advice that Jen just shared.
Yeah, leadership is all about doing it together. And I think that's something that Jen really brought up. I mean, you come into a new environment and you have to really understand culture. Culture is critical when it comes to collaboration and, more important, in communications. You have to know how people are like exchanging information or giving information, but how they receive information, and
Mm,
that's part of the culture. And sometimes that takes a little bit of learning. So I can appreciate you sitting on the hand saying, but what about, I have all these great ideas I want to make,
Right.
all these people, don't discount the history, the knowledge of others, because that'll enhance the impact of your great ideas.
Well said. Okay, I just want to add two quick things. Both of you all reference culture, and Jen, you talked about building the trust, confidence, and credibility with your peers. I would add to that the idea of this rapport bank, which someone shared with me 2 decades ago, maybe more, where in this society we live in, most folks are making constant withdrawals on rapport bank, right? Asking favors, asking for stuff. I think it's really important that the savviest folks, as they're trying to earn that trust and credibility and rapport amongst the team, is they're making deposits, right?
mm,
They're doing what Jen you
Yeah.
described as folks reaching out to you. Hey, how can I help? Welcome to the team. How can I help? I think that is huge. And then the other thing that really sticks out to me in your answer, Jen, because that bias for action is so important, right? We hire for it. We bake that into our teams. But to your point, there is immense value to you and what you and Kevin both said, calling time out, thinking through the situation, or being patient to earn the skills you need to act most successfully. That
Mm.
is a tough thing to learn and an even tougher thing to put into practice, but it's so valuable to your point, Jen and Kevin. Okay, great advice, man. We're going to owe someone a consulting invoice or something, Jen and Kevin. All right. So, Jen, old saying, old cliche. It's true though. It takes a village. It really does. But better yet, I heard this phrase from one of our past guests said that global supply chain is the ultimate team sport. I love that.
I love
So when you think of teams, you were talking about referencing your leadership team a minute ago, a couple times really. When it comes to building a team that can win day in and day out, even on those toughest days, right? What are some of your key considerations there, Jen?
I love that. It is the best team sport. And, I think when I think about what that looks like, one, it's thinking through, well, what really is that team you need to be successful? And like we just talked
Yeah.
about, like it's not just the transportation logistics team, it's the stores teams, it's the supply chains, and it's the merchant
Yeah,
team.
yeah,
And so really thinking about, well, like who are my customers and who are the board of directors of how this team's going to be successful. And it's probably more than what your org chart shows,
yeah,
particularly in big places and highly matrix environments. So I would say one, like, I think sometimes we say stakeholders, but I would think of like, who's the big team that we need to serve or need to get input from. Two, I think in that village, like we talked a little bit about it, but making sure that you have diversity of thought. You got some, there's a lot of history to learn from. Like you need folks who have been tried and true and understand like how we got to where we are today. You need folks that are going to help you think differently about where you get to tomorrow. And like, I love this. Like I have a gentleman on my team. He was a pharmacist for 20 years, and he's now the one architecting our entire parcel station final mile delivery strategy.
Love that.
Like you think like that's cool, and like he has brought an immense amount of innovation and thought and strategy to how we do that. And so I think like particularly in supply chain where like used to you had to grow up in transportation, you had to grow up in distribution. Like I think thinking differently about what are the capabilities and skills we need as the village that's
yeah.
going to make the most productive team. And so things like that, I think just thinking differently about what got us here and what we need to get there and putting the right folks in the right seats that work together
Yes.
so that we don't show the customer org chart.
Well said, Jen.
Yeah.
Love that. And I love that
Excellent.
story of the pharmacy pro that's coming in and making an impact in such a different way. Kevin, when you heard Jen's response there and building the team that wins day in and day out, what comes to your mind?
The breadth of the team and the fact that Jan includes the customer as part of their team, and that's an important thought process. When you have to not only include that, uh, I guess that close circle, but all of the concentric circles around that center circle. They're all
Yeah.
part of the team. So I love that.
You got me thinking about a Venn diagram, the Omega Venn diagram, Kevin and Jen. Uh, and I'll just pick out one more thing. I love how you mentioned a couple times of hiring folks and employing folks, promoting folks that help us think differently about where we're trying to get to. We so often as humans, as leaders, as supply chain pros, we cling to what got us here. And as we all know, I mean, going back to those e-commerce numbers, Jen, you shared 17% of all retail in 2017 was e-commerce, 47% by 2027. That requires us to think differently.
No,
Okay,
no, absolutely. Because, like you say, Jen, what gets us here won't get us there.
no doubt, no doubt. All right, so let's as we start to wrap, come down the home stretch. I wish we had all day to spend with Jen, dive into some of these stories. I look forward to your book coming out at some point, Jen. Man, the stories we're not getting to today, I can only imagine. All right, so let's get your perspective on kind of maybe a broader view of the supply chain industry. So, if you were to be preparing the supply chain state of the union, and this isn't going to be fair to give you one question here, but amongst your address, right, of all the different points, what are a couple of key characteristics that you think define global supply chain in 2024?
Yeah, I think, it always feels like you pick the word of the year. I feel like, we could come out of COVID and the word was sort of resilience.
Hmm.
And I think the 2024, 2025 words are going to be around connectivity because it's
Okay.
really around how are we connecting our decisions? How are we connecting to the customer? You see, all of us see 1,000 things around just visibility, new software tools, tech that's out there. But really, at the end of the day, it's about connectivity in your decision making, in your flow, in your communications, and visibility to all of that. And so, I think, from what I see from a technology standpoint, a customer expectation standpoint, and just sort of a speed and service, that connectivity is the unlock that we're all really chasing.
Yes, well said, Kevin. I know Jen's speaking your language there, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Data, 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 right? You need if you don't have connectivity, you can't get that data. And if you have that data, you lose situational awareness. And this is a global environment that that's operating 24/7, 365. So if you lose that connectivity, you lose that data, you lose the business.
Yes. And Jen, speaking of other words, Jen and Kevin that have been used extensively, ecosystem. But to be fair, I've been using ecosystem since Miss Beckham's ninth grade chemistry class, I believe, or maybe biology class, right? And I think it naturally applies to business. And going back to the points we made earlier, it's both a digital but also a physical.
Yeah.
Ecosystem involves it all, right? And
Mhm.
to your point, Jen and Kevin, without that powerful connectivity, goodness gracious, we'll never, that speed and service you're talking about, that operational velocity, man, we're going to be going without that connectivity, it's like we're going to be plugging along like a snail. Uh, so let's
Yes.
keep going down this path of the technology, because truly it is without a doubt inseparable from supply chain management as it is today. But the human factor too remains a critically important component that keeps things moving forward. Kevin, we talk about it all the time. It's one of my favorite parts of this story. But Jen, speak to or maybe elaborate on your points there a minute ago about the ideal role of technology in industry today.
Sure. Walmart's mission says that we're people led and tech powered. And I love
Hmm.
that because the people come first and people are our greatest asset, with the background of, tech powering them to either create good jobs into great careers, or to make what their job is better, like we talked a little bit about before. And so, I think as we see technology both in the physical space, whether that's automation, how we think about associates being able to execute their jobs, not lift a 50, if you're in a grocery DC, you have to lift a 50-pound box of meat all day long. Like, that's a hard job.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
versus, some of the upskilling roles that we're creating around managing the systems or thinking differently around the technology that's supporting the automation that will now do that. And so, like, I think that's a really big piece of it, but it still starts with the people. Same thing in the, automation AI space. Like, we're leveraging AI to help associates do their tasks faster or more easier for them to find the product on the shelf, but it's still the associate that's the center of what we do. And so, I think that balance got to your exact point of people led, tech powered, and how we think about those together will be the real unlock of technology in the future.
Agreed. But hey, I'm gonna steal that from you. I didn't say that. That people led, tech powered. I love it.
Well, I
We
stole that from Walmart. So,
okay.
um,
That's gonna be. We just got our title. I love that. Uh,
Yeah.
um, that mantra, and it's so true, and we're living it. Kevin, your thoughts on people led, tech powered?
That emphasizes the fact that technology enhances the human. It doesn't replace the human. So don't be afraid to use things like artificial intelligence. It's not taking your job away. It's enabling you to do what humans do best. So technology is there to help you. It's not a
Yes.
robot. It's a cobot. It's there to help you.
I love that. And who knows? These exoskeletons. It's been fascinating to see these rapidly evolve. It'll be really
Yeah.
interesting as those massively are found out in the markets, helping these heavy lifts that you were talking about, Jen, get so much more lighter and easier and safer. I'll tell you, technology, the pace of evolution and change is just remarkable. But
And it's
people
accelerating.
led, yeah, and accelerating. That's right. It's getting faster. People led, tech powered is what a timeless way of looking at that evolution. Okay, so speaking of evolution, supply chain in general, certainly supply chain performance has evolved a long way in terms of how it's viewed by boardrooms, by consumers, all points in between across the global ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So, Jen, how do companies like Walmart now view the supply chain organization, say as a profit center?
Sure. And I think it's um you hear this a lot of places now, but particularly at Walmart, like, we have such a deep retail and logistics expertise that's focused at the center of the customer. And we
Hmm.
talked about port to porch. And so when we think about that, particularly at Walmart, largest import in the US, one of the largest private fleets. Shout out to the fleet drivers,
That's right.
15,000 drivers, and
That's
they are the
huge.
safest fleet on the road 9 years in a row. So They listen to podcasts a lot while they're driving. So shout out to our amazing
Okay.
fleet drivers. And then, we talked about our store footprint and how we think about that as a delivery hub. It's the next best thing to the post office. So when you pin all that together, we're servicing Walmart customers, but now we're also servicing our marketplace sellers, helping them import their goods all the way through the supply chain, helping them get that to the customer as an extension of Walmart. And then we're also in the commercial B2B market with our white label Go Local delivery service. So folks like Books A Million or 1-800-Flowers or Sur La Table, we're now delivering for them also. And what I love about that is, we have this connected capability and capacity that's in service of the Walmart customer, but we can also help other folks.
Okay.
And with our customer focused approach in our DNA. And so that has been a really fun sort of transformation of how we think about our Walmart logistics apparatus, because there's so many good folks and clients out there that we can help. And if I'm ordering something from Walmart, I'm probably ordering a book from Books A Million next door,
Yeah.
and want
Yeah.
to pick all that up and take that to Scott's house and drive some density and volume. And what the real point of that is, I think, less about a profit center, more about how do we lower their total cost of delivery so that we can put that back in the price of bread and milk.
Yes.
And, we talked on our earnings call, we lowered our cost of delivery 20% with some of the highest NPS we've seen. And we did that because we're finding ways to invest back so that we can pass that savings along to the customer while we help other folks in the market. So super exciting
What
stuff.
Hey,
innovation. That's
don't
so
forget that
innovative.
belt for Kevin, Jen. Don't forget that belt for
Yeah,
Kevin's
come
book, the belt. All right. So
We'll
You
get
don't want
Kevin's.
my pants falling off, that's for sure.
you never know where we're going to go in these conversations, Jen. I love this. Man, it's such a fascinating sneak peek, little hour-long sneak peek into all the cool things you are doing. Kevin, respond, though, to that ever-evolving view of supply chain at Walmart.
So it goes back to that diversity, right? If you didn't have the diversity of thought, that different worldview, then you couldn't keep up with the change that we're all experiencing. So it is critical to every part of every business. And I like the idea of you refer to the extensions of Walmart, and these are your partners in the business. Books A Million, it's not. These are entities that you've put your arms around each other in order to make it easier and better, and for that drone to drop it on my
There we
porch.
go. 30,000, and no telling where they'll be a year from now.
Love it.
Good stuff, Kevin. Jen, I tell you what a $1 million perspective here today. Here, if I can pull out one more thing, we're gonna make sure folks can connect with you and the Walmart team in a second. But you mentioned that fleet of incredible, talented truck drivers, right? And we got September is National Truck Drivers Appreciation
Woo-hoo.
Week each year. A couple of years ago, we met one of your like big time award, highly recognized truck drivers. Her name was April, and it was incredible conversation. If I can put you on the spot, Jen, let's do that again. Let's spotlight a couple of your incredibly talented truck drivers in September again. We'll have to have you back. Those folks,
Yeah.
talk about people that keep us moving. Those incredible truck drivers are something else.
I love it. They're incredible. The Walmart fleet is the culture and DNA of Walmart. They just make magic happen. So super proud of those folks. We'll come back in September and celebrate them.
Hey,
Awesome.
okay.
Awesome. Hold you to that.
All right. So Jen, thanks so much for taking time out. Undoubtedly, y'all got so much going on, but we see, I tell you, as a consumer, and I am very impartial here. I will tell you the experience in the store and online, as Amanda, our CEO here, can attest, because she knows e-commerce inside and out. What how those experiences have evolved is nothing short. It's such a great study on supply chain, customer experience, and so much, and leadership. So we look forward to putting our finger on the pulse again down the road a bit, but appreciate what all you do. How can folks connect with you, Jen, and the team at Walmart?
Love that. You can always find me on LinkedIn. We were talking about my travels. Where in the world is Jen? My husband checks LinkedIn. So you can always connect on LinkedIn. If you're interested in being a driver or working for Walmart, careers.walmart.com. Or if you're interested in being one of our Spark platform drivers that helps fuel Walmart delivery, you can do that at driveforspark.com.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Wow, awesome.
Jen, and Kevin, who wouldn't want to work for Jen, right? And the team at Walmart, man, that'd be it.
I want to, I want to sign up to be a drone driver. Can I do that?
Maybe so. All right. So before we get out of here, before we thank Jen and the whole team, and of course all the folks that tuned in here today, Kevin, we got to give a big high five to our friends at Microsoft, who's also doing some cool things out there in industry. Your thoughts there, Kevin?
Oh yeah, I just say Microsoft Cloud for Manufacturing, for example, really brings the best of Microsoft to their partners to accelerate digital transformation and manufacturing. They do this by unlocking the engineering and design innovation with cloud computing and artificial intelligence. They build a resilient, that's an important word, resilient supply chain to anticipate risk and enable intelligent factories and to help modernize the customer experience. Things like using digital twins to simulate different scenarios for product design optimization or process improvement or even factory setup. And they enhance the factory workers' performance via the seamless communications. We talked a lot about the importance of data and communications and collaboration. And they do this also with immersive training, the use of industrial metaverse. We talked about that earlier this week, Scott, for onboarding and upskilling. This helps the organization to gain visibility into operations, to identify opportunities, and to leverage artificial intelligence for optimization. This really also drives the ability to create advanced demand forecasting models to help the customer. Always customer focused, and we've talked a lot about that. So Microsoft is there with you, Walmart, and everyone else to deliver to the customer when and where that customer is.
You can do about everything but get a yellow dog with coleslaw from the
Relish.
Right?
Relish.
Just no ketchup. I'm okay. Well, hey, thank you for that, Kevin. I appreciate that. And Jen, I tell you, incredible story. I love what y'all are doing from a supply chain standpoint, from a consumer standpoint, from a leadership standpoint. Big thanks to Jennifer McKeehan with Walmart. Jen, we look forward to having you back soon.
Good to see you guys.
You bet. Also, big thanks to Kevin L. Jackson,
Yes,
Five
sir.
Digital Transformers, wherever you get your podcast from. Kevin, I tell you, those episode tallies are continue to grow and grow. We're going to be approaching 30,000 like those drone deliveries at Walmart soon. But thanks for being here with us here today, Kevin.
No, thank you very much. I mean, Digital Transformers is growing fast. So maybe if I have to go drive drones, I won't miss the shows. So just letting you know.
Hey, I see who we're competing with. All right. Also, big thanks again, our cloud partners over at Microsoft, helping us bring these incredible, inspiring stories and leaders to our global audience. All right. So to our listeners, hey, thank y'all at the top of the list. Appreciate y'all tuning in, listening, viewing, whether you're driving trucks, as Jen mentioned, or out there just making it happen. Really appreciate y'all being here. Hey, be sure to find Supply Chain Now, Digital Transformers, wherever you get your podcasts. But take something you heard here from Jen today or Kevin today, put it into practice. Your teams will be highly appreciative. Deeds, not words. That's the name of the game. And on those lines, Scott Luton challenging you to do good, to give forward, and to be the change. And we'll see you next time right back here at Supply Chain Now. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for being a part of our Supply Chain Now community. Check out all of our programming at supplychainnow.com and make sure you subscribe to Supply Chain Now anywhere you listen to podcasts. And follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. See you next time on Supply Chain Now.